What if about 2 hours of work could add ten to $20,000 a week in new business to your business? What if you had a leaky bucket issue? 2 hours. What if you had a leaky bucket issue where people are coming into your business, but they're not being handled in a timely fashion? They're excited about what you offer, they're excited about your product or service, but there's nobody to talk to them. There's nobody to qualify them. There's nobody to see how interested they are. There's nobody to put them on the calendar with the sales team so they can actually be directed to the products and services that are actually going to serve them. This is the exact issue that came up recently when I spoke at a mastermind. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background here. I was at Four Rooms Mastermind in Austin, Texas, and I was giving these workshops. Amber's a client, she runs the mastermind. And after the very first workshop, I had shared some things about AI. And this gentleman named Eric came up to me and said, "Hey, man, how much to hire you? I'd like to have you come fly out to our offices in Tampa and walk our team through how to get some of these systems implemented in our business." And I quoted him kind of a high price, right? Because time is valuable and we'd have to fly back and forth. He didn't blink an eye, wired it right away. So I was like, okay, great. These guys get into play. It turns out that this business is already doing $1 million a month in revenue, and they have a really great market. It's basically dudes who want to learn to flip sports cards in their spare time. So they buy these sports cards, they get them regraded, and they learn how to do that. So they have us out, and they're young 28-year-old guys, and they're really sharp. And they ask us, basically, how can we use AI to increase our business? So I'm like, let's first just plug the holes, right? Let's make sure nobody's leaking through the bucket. So one of the things we identified was that they had this one Instagram account that was really growing, right? And I wanted to make sure that all the people who were DMing them were actually getting the VIP treatment. They were initially getting essentially, if they were reaching out, they were getting a message. And you can do just a stock message, but then you can have AI actually interact. Then you can go a step further, which we'll show you how to do today, is you can actually create an ad that once they comment, it sends them a DM, and then when they respond to the DM, another bot takes over and then has that conversation. So what does this actually mean? So we built this bot in 2 hours in the beginning of the day. By the end of the day, it had booked 4 additional calls. By the end of the weekend, it had booked an additional 12 calls. And you can look at all this. It'll be in the comments here on my Facebook post. I kind of lay it all out. We built them another couple bots. We got photos, everything. It was a really fun time. So I just want to see what's possible for you. So if you think about their business, they're doing $1 million a month. These leads, they know exactly how much they're worth. They're really dialed in on their funnel. Just by making sure that the bucket stopped leaking, we got these people into the sales pipeline. He estimates that it would be an extra $10,000 to $20,000 a week. That's $500,000 to $1 million every year that was leaking through his Instagram. And that number is going to continue to go up as he does more Instagram content. Same could be true of YouTube, of Facebook, and all the different socials. And we have another one with LinkedIn coming up here pretty soon. But today we want to focus on how could you build an AI bot that can actually help you to plug the leaks in your business, make sure that you get all these people to where they need to go, get them to the right person on the team, get them to support, get them to sales, and get them into the right program so that they actually get the results that they're looking for. And you reach that crucial place where every single person that comes through your business, whether it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, whether you're on vacation, whether you're on your desktop at that moment, the AI is actually going to serve them, support them, qualify them, make sure they're interested, and get them to the right person on the team. And just that could theoretically add 10, 20% of revenue to your business. So let's take a look at that today. And I want to introduce our team who's going to be sharing with us. So let's go ahead and say hello to the team. JJ, what's up, guys? How you doing? JJ, Evan, and Philip are on with me today. And we are rocking and rolling here at the Marble Mansion in our own respective places here. Super fun. And we're going to be sharing about Instagram bots that add $500,000 or more to our clients' businesses. So pretty exciting stuff. JJ, why don't you take us away, show us what you got, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, excuse me. Wow. Almost sounded like Barry White there for a second, didn't I? There's a couple of ways to do this, but what we're going to be showing you is how to do it inside of Panda Dash, and that's our GHL white label. It's actually an option that's been around for a long time, and a lot of people still don't know about it. So if you're on GHL, and if you're not, come and talk to us at Panda Dash. But this is the easiest method. There are other tools that you can do this with. You can even do this direct using Zapier, AutoKit, make.com, things like that. We're going to show you the easy way today, and then me and Brad discuss. We're going to show other ways to do it down the road. But inside GHL Panda Dash, there is the conversation AI bot. And that's what we did for Eric Michael is we set up that conversation AI bot to make sure that it's not just booking the appointments, but it has a conversation and it goes around doing, some qualifying questions, things like that. So he's just not getting inundated with appointments that aren't going to move the needle. All right.
By the way, live on YouTube, baby. There's always a little bit of rust to shake off. It's so funny. Every time we get on one of these videos, I'm like, oh, and they always come out great and everybody's happy, but just shaking the rust off every time.
It really is.
All right. So we're here in Panda Dash. This is a GHL white label. It's got better support, better servers, all that. We're not here to talk about that. Let's get specifically into how we built this agent using some of the tools, which nobody knows how to use properly.
Yeah, and they've even made it easier on the GHL side. So I went into Labs, I turned on easy mode just so we can do that. So we're going to create our first conversation AI bot here. And you got general Q&A, appointment booking, marketplace templates, start from scratch. Now, if your goal is to book an appointments, go with appointment booking, make it easy. You can refine it later. You can refine it through automations and workflows. You can refine it through your prompt. However, it's going to make your life easier, do that. And we're going to name this one Pandagram. Actually, we're going to do Panda Book because Panda Dash does not really have an Instagram. But I'll kind of show you the Instagram method as well. And I like autopilot. You can do suggestive. Autopilot just keeps going. Make sure you have your data trained. And if you look at all these communication channels that you have here that you can do this in, I like to have them all turned on. If you're specifically building this bot for one channel, this is where you can get granular, and this is really important. Some people do different kinds of marketing and advertising on their Facebook profile than they do their Instagram. And if you're using WhatsApp, some people have those auto bots that we all hate, but they exist and they are effective.
So just to be clear, we can do this on Instagram right now. We can do it on Facebook, WhatsApp, and LinkedIn, but with another system. We can't yet do it on YouTube. We're working on it, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
YouTube, you'd have to, there's a workaround, but we're not going to show that today.
It's a little more gray hat, huh?
Yes, it is. The chat widget, there's two of them here that you see, and these are the ones that you put on your website. So if we were to go to jjsteelman.com, nope, no music today. You see this little chat widget down here? This is something that JHL/Panda offers, and you can even create that AI conversation bot inside this chat widget. And that is really effective if you especially if you've got like a faceless brand or anything like that.
Okay, so let's just drill into Instagram because that's what the premise of this video is. So how did we add 10 to 20K a month to what they were already doing? They were already getting a lot of inbound traffic. They already had built their Instagram up somewhat. It wasn't a start from scratch kind of thing, but they just had a leaky bucket, right? They weren't getting the leads that they were getting into the right place in their business.
Right. Eric had a huge following on Instagram. So this was the lowest hanging fruit that we identified. And with that huge following on Instagram, he got DMs all the time, not even prompted DMs, like, what's my card worth? Things like that. And he had an offer that he wants to get these people on a call for and show them how to use their sports cards, as a monetary tool. And we set up, what we did was we helped him set up the spot. You can put your name, you can put a business name. Default is location name. That's whatever you put in this business profile as your friendly name. So just make sure. And autopilot, you want to do your wait time here. This makes it seem a little more natural, a little more real. I personally like to do about 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute. You don't want to just send one right away. One, that's going to flag Instagram. Right. Two, they're gonna know it's a bot. Nobody answers that fast, right?
It wants to feel like a human was actually typing whatever the response is, especially if you're going to send a wall of text. It's not that nuanced yet. You just got to give it enough time to make it seem real. And it's not that you're lying to anybody. You're just making sure that they get served as quickly as possible. And you could do human rollover, which we'll show you later.
Yep, exactly. Maximum messages can send in a conversation. This is where human rollover actually comes in. You 10 to 20. I like 20. It's going to have a conversation back and forth. And this is, again, is where your prompting comes in. You don't want it to go directly to the sale. You want to ask a couple questions, and we'll do that in the bot training here in a second. And send bot to sleep when I send a message manually or through a workflow. What this does is, and Eric actually figured this out when we were first setting this up. When you open up your Instagram app and you go and reply, maybe you're like, oh, I got to get in there. I got to get in there. This right here is that option to turn that on or off, because you don't want the bot following up with that conversation. You really don't if you've continued the conversation, because it's going to look unnatural.
Right. So essentially, all right, it's on Instagram, it's working. You get excited, you go on Instagram, it's like, wait, why did it stop working? It's because that's turned on, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So instead, you could look at it in GHL, which we'll show you how to do here in a minute, or you could just let it do its work and trust that it's doing a good job. And it does, even out of the box, without a whole lot of training, which we can show you how to train it, does a pretty great job of actually booking these calls and having a conversation with people. This is pretty smart stuff.
And it does. So you can do your knowledge base however you want to do. You can create a new knowledge base here, give it a description. This part here is internal, guys. Don't worry about getting too in the weeds on that one. And it's going to take you to this, and you can manually do this. You can web crawl it. So if you got a lot of information on your website, it's going to bring up that web crawl. So let's say we use https/boom panda-io extract data. And now it's going to crawl that website. It's going to find any data that might be relevant for the conversation. And we can go back and turn this knowledge base into, a knowledge base.
So knowledge base for people who are just starting to use AI, right? So you have prompts, which are just a snippet of code where it's like, hey, I wrote out some instructions for this thing and it's going to give me a particular response. That's like, hey, act as a marketing director, act as a copywriter, act as a designer, act as a business owner, act as a strategist, act as Tony Robbins, right? You tell it the identity, then you tell it, do this, right? Here's your instructions. Say, give it some parameters and some guardrails if you don't want specific outputs. And then essentially it'll give you a prompt back. So this is like a series of very sophisticated prompts or data which it can extract from that will help to inform its answers. So here's some examples of how you can do that. You can go on a website like we talked about. And the other one was really effective is we had to talk to Go High Level about this. They were getting some sort of weird error when they were letting you put all your data up natively. So they actually allow you to have a live Google Doc that you can update now, right? Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So a way around it is to actually do your prompt and all your knowledge base in a Google Doc, and then just put the live open public link into Panda Dash or GHL, and that gives you access to that, and you can update it in real time. So you don't have to learn how to code or do anything crazy with this. You can literally just have a doc that you update anytime it goes off the rails. Or you want to change how it responds. You update the doc, and it updates that in real time. With me so far?
Perfect. So we're going to give it a quick test real quick. Hey, I'm interested in Panda Dash. Oh, maybe it helps if I actually have it in there. Hey, I'm interested in Panda Dash. I'm going to see what it comes up with. And this right now, there's no prompting, there's no training. This is just from the knowledge base. So check that out. Glad you're interested. Panda Dash is a super flexible CRM that automates marketing, manages contacts, runs events, and more all in one place. Want to chat about how it can fit your needs? And we can just keep going. Yeah, sure. I run a hair salon.
So at this point, we haven't even told it like to book anybody or to check the calendar or to necessarily put it in, but we can do all of that. So we can get it to essentially in conversation. We'll show you here in a minute. We can get it to qualify the person, see how interested they are, if they're ready to book a call, suggest times, and then actually book them into the calendar on GHL. So it shows up on your salesperson or setter's calendar. They can call them right away, text them right away, all that.
Yeah. And this test your bot section is actually very important. It's one of the reasons why I'm focused on this right now is because if you see these little hands and you got this, little star here, you can train your bot by having conversations with it. So this way, you got a bad response, you can give it the down thumb, you can click on here, teach it how to respond maybe a little better. and everything else inside this history.
Yeah. And if you go back to our previous video about how to train GPT to become a pro and really understand your business, you can then use that GPT that you trained, right? Which is my pro version, for example. I can now go in and say, hey, I'm building this chatbot, give it the parameters and all the specific windows, send it a screenshot, whatever you want to do, and say, hey, help me fill in this data. And it'll get probably 80% of the way there, 90% of the way there. You have a few test runs, and then you're off to the races. So that's what we were able to do very quickly is we were able to ingest everything from Eric's side, make a very strong prompt based on the GPT, which I've trained, put that in, and that became the baseline that booked 4 calls in a day and 12 calls over the weekend without any real iterations on his part. So the more prepared you show up, the better success you'll have. Because everybody, like, they start this thing, they'll start playing with it and like, it's not that good yet. And it's like they don't see the potential. It's like, yeah, you got to mess with it a little bit, but once you get there, this can be leveraged times 1,000, times 1,000,000 without any additional human input. But you do have to work at it. It's like training an employee.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to save that. We're going to go on to bot goals. Now, this is where you're going to give it a personality. You're going to give it intent. This is where you're going to give it any additional information. Like for me personally, I hate when it says game changer. I don't say game changer. And AI loves game changer. I'm going to go in and give it a rule saying, do not say game changer. Don't use M dashes,
I
don't
say
use too many emojis.
avoid words like XYZ. And I'll say like, use the rules of Strunk's elements of style, which is a PDF in the public domain. It can look up very easily. It can ingest that very quickly. And it can be like, oh, now I understand how this guy writes. Cause like, that's a book that was very influential on my writing style when I was a young man. Now I can train my AI to be influenced by the same influence that I have.
Yep, exactly. We want this to book appointments. So we're going to pick a calendar. So you'll have a calendar set up, hopefully inside your GHL/Panda system. And
that could be a Google Calendar, iCal, right? I think they do Google Calendar right now, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And it even plugs into Calendly. So for those of you who are still on archaic systems, you can do that as well. Don't come after me, Calendly.
Archaic systems. The leading calendar software is archaic. I got it.
Salesforce is the leading sales software, and it's still running on, DOS.
Yeah, but you built it. I know it's 26 years ago. It's your damn fault.
It is. So don't book an appointment is, it's going to send the booking link. Sometimes, this might be, especially if you're doing like a round robin style calendar or something like that. Sending a booking link is going to be your best option because they can choose, oh, I want to talk to Evan. He's cuter. There's his picture right there. That's the case when you're going to send a booking link. Pause bot responses after booking. This is good, but at the same time, they might have more questions. So what it's going to do is after they've actually booked the call, and how it's going to book a call if you don't have that link once check there, it's going to say, okay, Brad's got availability on Wednesday at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. or Thursday at 7 p.m. It's going to give them some options. Not going to inundate with them with options. It's just going to give them a couple options. And they say, well, that's not good. Then, it comes with the next set of options. And then they finally book the appointment. Oh, yeah, okay, got you set for 4 p.m. with Brad on Wednesday. This option will stop the bot at that point. That means the conversation ends.
Right.
And that may be good for some people, but I like my bots to still be available. Maybe they need to change that appointment. Right. They can go back and talk to the bot and change that appointment. They can come back 2 days later and say, oh man, I'm sorry. I need to cancel this Wednesday. Can we do it Thursday? And it will restart the process.
Yeah. Cause it'd be kind of weird if you were talking to something, then you booked a call and then you tried to reschedule and then it never responded again. Right.
Correct.
Yeah. And then unless you're on it as the person in your Instagram DMs, you wouldn't get that. So you can actually click on all these different cancellations and reschedules and all that good stuff.
Yep. Now, trigger workflow after booking. This is very important because one of the things I like to do is after it's booked an appointment, I want to send them a text message. I want to send my team a message into Slack saying, hey, blah, 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 set up a demo. If we're talking about Panda Dash, if we're talking about Make More Marbles, somebody's getting on a build a mastermind call. We want to make sure Brad knows that, this person booked an appointment. This is how they booked the appointment. Here's the information we gathered from that person. Because Brad likes to know the person. He's going to go and, really get to know them before he gets on that call. If you don't have a workflow that kind of does that for you, then whoever's getting on that call, you're kind of going in blind. So you want to make sure that you have a workflow set up in your automations that has that follow-up process. We want to send them an email. We want to let the team know, all that other fun stuff. Transfer employee post booking. This one is actually really nice because you can transfer it to another bot, by the way, or you can transfer it to an actual employee and have them take over the conversation. So I like to stack. I don't like to put, all my baskets in one egg. I like to, okay, my booking appointment, just book this appointment. So now I got another bot that's going to follow up in 4 days after that appointment. Say, hey, how'd your conversation with Brad go?
Mm.
But I'm not going to do that with the same bot because sometimes we all do it. You give me too much data. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about half the time. We're talking about Oreos. Who knows? Stack your tools. Very important. Don't put everything in one thing. I do this with workflows at all. I have seen workflows with 300 freaking, widgets and everything else. Don't do that.
Yeah,
That's
but I
AJ's
mean,
rant.
don't get overwhelmed either, right? So there's
Yeah.
this idea of like everything needs to be 100% automated or it sucks. It's like, what if we can get 20% automated? What if we can get 40% automated, 50%, 60, 70, 80? You kind of work your way towards 100. It still gets more useful and more valuable as you go along. So I think it might be cool to just kind of whiteboard like how this could look once you have all these tools working in concert. Because it's going to be a relatively short video today. We've got another 12 minutes left. So I'd like to take like 3 minutes, kind of whiteboard some stuff and show you what this could look like. And then I want you to go and play around with this and let us know in the comments, hey, this really worked for me, or this is where I got stuck, or what exactly happened. JJ, would you mind stop and share so I can share my screen?
Yep. Just I'm going to touch on two really important
Yep, go
things real
for it.
quick. These last two options, this is what I was talking about. Allow the bot to cancel, allow the bot to reschedule. I turn those on. Okay. So those are important. All right. I'm going to stop sharing and Brad's got the
Sweet.
floor.
So you guys can see my whiteboard? Yay or nay? Can you hear me? See my
Yep.
whiteboard?
Your
Okay, let
whiteboard
me
is
pin that.
live.
Yep. Let me go ahead and pin that. All right, sweet. So, let's say, whatever your input is, whether it's Insta, LinkedIn, whatever it is, right? It's going to go to either an ad first and then DM, or just straight to a DM, right? Let's say they, have something in their bio that says, DM me some word, and that picks up the conversation. Or you can have the ad actually trigger it. So they can leave a comment on the ad, right? And then it DMs them. And then when they respond, it becomes a DM conversation. Now we're into the first bot, right? This bot is the one that we just showed you. The bot has a conversation, qualified, interested, books a call. At this point, you can assign it to an employee, right? Or another bot, as JJ said. It can reschedule if it needs to. It can cancel if it needs to. And you can set up a alert if these happen so that the team is alerted, right? So you don't end up with challenges, or just somebody needs to jump in because the bot can't handle it, right? Then here's where it gets really interesting. The second bot that we built for them was an actual sales score bot, right? So what does that mean? So that means that every time they actually had the call with the employee, it would get transcribed by Fathom, right? And you could use Zoom natively if you can set that up or whatever you want, transcribed by Fathom. And then it was actually fed into another AI, which scored it against the actual script, right? So this is where it gets really interesting. So they take that transcription, so word for word, it looks at the AI, it looks at the sales script or the setter script, depending, and then it scores it. And it gives it a score, say 8 out of 10, right? 5 out of 10. And then if it goes below a certain threshold, say 5 out of 10, it gets punted to the sales manager, right? So now the sales manager can keep an eye on the team without having to watch hours and hours and hours of sales or setter calls. It gets crazier. Now you can do the same thing, but with clients. So now this person has actually become a client. Let's say they had the call, they became a client, right? Now this client is assigned a coach. And it's a little bit more complex, but this coach essentially has a series of playbooks and frameworks and training that they're going to run off of, which can also be scored. Right. So now every time a client is in distress or has an issue or has a gripe or the coach is just going off the rails, that can be made aware of to the powers that be within the organization. They can now know, like, oh, this person's having a hard time. Let's actually reach out. Right. So you can get an alert if you're the manager instead of having to watch hundreds of hours. This is like just alerts now when things are off the rails. And same thing over here. This part, in addition to making an extra 500K minimum over here, maybe up to 1 million, that's self-reported, by the way. That's what he told me. Now we're saving hundreds of hours of team time, which is not renewable, right? You can always make more money. You can't make more time. And when time is spent poorly, especially on stuff that really doesn't move the needle, it's demoralizing. Like, how many things do we do in our business that just kind of suck and drain our energy and drain our batteries, and we just don't want to do them anymore? So I want you to start to think in these systems. Like, you don't have to build all this today, but like, what if you just did the exercise at first of where are my leaky buckets? Right? If you just did that. Two, how could I use AI to fill them, to patch them, if you will? And I want to kind of qualify, like, leaky bucket could be leads, sales, time, and money. So if you just kind of looked at your whole business and answered these two questions, now you can go to part three, which is, what's the highest priority? And then just do like we did, just map it out. Let us know in the comments if you get stuck or you need support. If you need a Panda Dash account, you get better servers, better support, access to JJ, all that great stuff. His team is amazing, 24/7 around the clock to answer your questions and use some of these features. We also have a lifetime deal for that. You go to marbles.link, and that's /Panda lifetime. That's one word. We'll put that in the links as well. You don't have to. You could do this in other systems. This is just the way we did it, and it was very effective. And then the recursive training. That's the last thing I really want to get to is, like, keep tweaking this, keep playing with it. It's going to be pretty good out of the box, just doing what we showed you. Use your train GPT that knows your business, set up the prompts, set up the knowledge base, set up the Google Doc, get the link in there, the public link, and start playing around with this thing. Remember all the little caveats. Rewatch this video if you get stuck, and then let us in the comments if you need help, because this is really important stuff. Like, if you're leaking, in some cases, $500,000 worth of leads in your business, you can essentially give yourself a raise with no additional overhead, and then decrease the amount of capacity you need to actually serve those people by taking back your time. So if everybody in your organization gets 50, 80, 90% more efficient, that's essentially more money in your pocket and more time to spend doing the things that matter the most. So again, we promise not to make this a super long video today. We want to make sure you got the goods. If you want to check out the story, there's a Facebook link below. If you want to check out Panda Dash, there's a link below. And finally, if you just have a comment or you want to let us know what you're working on and how we can help, just let us know in the comments. We build stuff like this all the time. We've identified 31 different tools in Optimus. We built 17 of them so far. And this is one of them that we're going to continue to build. We've got one on LinkedIn that we're about to build. We've built it a couple times for a couple of businesses. We're just codifying the process, getting the AI the way we like it, and then we'll share about that pretty soon as well. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be sharing weekly. Please do like and subscribe and comment. It does help out a small channel like us. We're so grateful to have you here. Any last thoughts, gentlemen, on this topic? If not, we will call it a day.
The only thing I really want to stress, especially in Evan, you could probably back me up on this because you deal with a lot of mom and pops and small businesses. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in any business is not answering the damn phone. Using this along with the AI employee, which is the voice version, and combining the two of those together. So you use the AI conversation for missed call text back. Somebody calls, you're not able to answer, the AI didn't pick up. It's going to text them back, say, hey, we're on the other line helping another missing customer. How can I help you until we get somebody to call you back? And if you have it trained properly, you're gonna be able to get that sale. I've used this for a pizza shop. I've used this for an HVAC service. I've used it for a coffee shop. And I have a friend of mine. He's actually very large in the GHL community. Beyond, he owns a pizza franchise, and he literally has his AI conversation bot taking pizza orders with this. So, don't be scared of AI. It's only going to enhance your business, and you cannot help people if you cannot talk to them.
That's right. Yeah, we have all dealt with the business who is too cool for school, can't get them on the phone, and you want to give them money. They got a great product or service, but you literally can't get a hold of them. And it's like, maybe you had one question before you went to buy and you were going to buy, and then you couldn't get a hold of anybody. And you're like, well, if this is the experience, I'm out. Right. So don't buy into a story about how AI, nobody wants to deal with AI. People want their problem solved. And if an AI could solve their problem 24/7 without any fuss, without any muss, they don't want to bother people. It's like I keep asking my clients, do you want my time or do you want my results? Right. We have to get away from this idea of like more time equals more value. It just doesn't. Getting the result in the most efficient way possible is the most scalable system that decreases friction and increases trust for the most number of people, gets everybody better outcomes, and allows the business owners to scale up and serve more people. It's a self-fulfilling virtuous cycle. So that's the Make More Marbles motto. We are all about playing games that are infinite and that can be won and that make more marbles for everybody. So again, like, subscribe, comment, let us know below what you thought of this video. We'll keep doing them. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.